Good morning, everybody. It is a wonderful, hot Georgia day. There's something about Georgia and the heat and the sun that just makes you want to smile. It was hot and muggy, and we walked in the studio, and it's kind of like an ice box. My guests are from, actually from New York by way of Cherokee County, Georgia. Now, how long have y'all been in Cherokee County?
We moved here in July of 2017, so it'll be 2 years next month.
2 years. So y'all, they're just getting to know the area.
We are.
And they have just found out that when you serve a hot dog in the South, oh, turn your mics on. Go on the side and turn your mics on. Sorry. When you serve a hot dog in the South, Gina, what are one of the words that people say? Coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
Did you know about slaw when you started serving up hot dogs in the South?
No, we did not.
My goodness gracious.
Coming from New York, a traditional New York dog is one of two things. It's mustard and sauerkraut or sweet red onions.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what we have plenty of.
Yes, yes.
But we have no slaw. We are hopefully going to work on that and make that happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's so funny because yesterday I was telling y'all we went to a place that I'd never been before, and they served a hot dog, and I always order mine with sweet relish.
Yes.
And mustard and ketchup.
We do have relish, yes.
Well, when it came, we couldn't find the relish. And it's because they were so smart. They put the relish under the hot dog.
That's brilliant.
And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Now, y'all started serving up hot dogs because Paul, being a retired NYPD detective, did you have some time on your hands?
I did. Actually, while I was a detective in one of the commands that I was in Queens, we had a hot dog vendor that would set up every single day outside of the precinct on the opposite corner. So in the summertime with the windows open, even with the AC on, you would still get that waffling effect of the cooking of the dogs.
Yeah.
And when there was no time available for, a sit-down dinner, we would just run out, hit the hot dog guy. And so over the years, 20 years or so of doing that, you get to know the owners and you get to know everybody. And I asked him one day, I said, is this really worth your time and effort out here? And when he told me what he makes selling hot dogs, I was just completely mortified. It blew me away.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, did I make the wrong career choice?
Yeah.
But,
I'm an NYPD.
yeah, and this guy, I should be cutting his lawn is really what it came down to.
Yeah.
So I thought after retirement that, it might be something I'd consider, but in the right place. And so we ventured into it. After I retired, Gina and I set up a hot dog truck on a lake on Long Island.
Up north,
and it was very successful.
And you loved what you did. You loved what you did.
Because you're engaging with the public,
I loved
and
it.
the majority of people in the public are good people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those who aren't are the ones that get the limelight, and they seem to represent everybody. It's not a clear representation.
You're getting a great crowd. Food makes people happy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So they're coming
Give
to
me
you.
2 hot dogs with mustard ketchup and sweet relish.
Or chili and
I'm your
cheese.
friend
And they're
forever.
happy, and you just start a rapport, and you get your regular customers, and you know what they want, and you have it ready when you see them walking up to your, to your car.
We were given gifts. We were given a wedding album handmade by one of our customers. Sweet
lady.
Elderly woman, single, went back to work after her husband passed away. Would come up and very ritualistically ask for the same. I knew what she was going to order, so I would always have it prepared.
Yeah.
And we engage in conversation. You get to know your customers, and it's a real feel. When you know somebody's coming up and you know what they normally have and you have it prepped, it makes them feel like
They're important.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's that rapport that actually is what's enjoyable mostly about it. It's not so much the money as much as you're engaging with people in a better way than I was used to.
And it might be the only conversation she had that day.
Right.
Correct.
It might be the only conversation she had that day. Exactly.
Right.
Now, did you know that you're sitting next to somebody who's pretty important? Did you know that she just accomplished something I think was pretty
I'd like to think that I had some part in it.
Just a little. Can we talk a little bit about this little award you won, Miss Gina? Did you know about this?
I only found out about it when they did the anonymous survey that they have to send to all the staff members in my school. And I saw my name on the list.
Wow.
So
somebody nominated you.
I guess a couple of people may have nominated me.
Yeah.
And my name fell on a list with, it's 2 categories. It's faculty, which are teachers, and staff, which are the non-teaching staff members. So there's 3 people to choose from each category. And it's an anonymous voting, and everybody submits their forms online,
Yeah.
and I got the award.
And you know how I knew you had the award? Because I follow every move Riker makes. And Riker was at the school
Riker
for her
was there.
presentation.
It was a
So-
nice surprise.
Yeah.
My husband, my sister Yvonne, and sweet little Riker came out from behind the curtain
Yes.
on stage
Yes.
when they
Yeah.
announced my name.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was an angel. He was a perfect little
Yes,
angel.
he was.
Well, it was so precious, and I happened to know one of the people there at your
Yes.
school, and I
Yes.
said it was so funny. I looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Yes.
Now, to be down here 2 years and to already make such an impression on people, that speaks volumes for you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I do hope so. I love being in the school. I was in the schools up north. I was in a high school up north for 5 years, and then I worked in central offices for 4 years. I knew I wanted to be in the schools down here, and I was very blessed and fortunate when timing just worked out perfectly. I had done the online application, sent my resumes and cover letters, and a woman in the office was retiring just as we were sliding into
Wow.
Georgia.
Wow.
And they actually called me in New York to fly down for an interview. And I got the job right then and there.
Did you know that God's timing is always perfect? Always.
It was.
There
It
is no
was
question about it.
perfect.
It
was
is
perfect.
always, and when it happens, you're like, seriously?
I could not
Yeah,
believe it.
yeah.
I could not believe
Yeah.
it. I truly anticipated moving here as a new Georgian and looking for a job. Looking for a job.
Yeah.
Never anticipating getting one in the school so quickly.
Wow. Awesome.
And 2 years later,
Yeah.
I guess they like my shy personality.
It's funny because one of the things you do is you talk to the kids over the PA
I
system.
love the kids. I love the kids.
And they love that, oh, you're the lady on the PA. You know?
They like for me to do the PA system announcements because it's not a voice they're used to hearing. It's not an accent they're
Yes.
used to hearing.
Yeah.
So they actually listen. They
Yeah.
do listen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was making an announcement one day at dismissal, and a sweet little 6th grade girl came in, and I'm talking on the PA system. And she comes up to the front desk and she says, "Oh my gosh, that's you?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "You're like Siri."
Love it.
And
Love it.
it was just one of those priceless moments.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
adorable. But I love being in the
Now,
school.
what age kids are you around today?
I'm in a middle school, and we have 6th grade through 8th grade. And
That's a tough time for kids.
It is. They're out of elementary school. They're trying to find themselves, identify who they are. They're not quite grown-up high schoolers yet, but they're not baby elementary schoolers anymore.
Right.
So it is confusing. Their bodies are going through a lot of changes. So emotionally, mentally, physically, it's a lot going on. It's
Yeah.
a tough age.
Yeah.
It's a tough age.
And do you realize that every child in your class has no idea where your husband was on 9/11? Because they weren't around on 9/11.
No, they were
Yeah.
not. They were not. We've also been very fortunate where the careers class has invited him to speak in the school to the children about 9/11, about being a police officer in New York City. All the events that have happened in his career, including Ground Zero, 9/11, and,
Right.
and that kind of stuff. And they are intrigued.
Yeah.
They are intrigued. They know of it as a
Yeah.
part of their history, but they don't know. It's like as if you or I would talk to a World War II hero.
Right.
It's something so abstract to them until they're one-on-one with it. And they had a lot of questions. Their little hands were going up in the air asking him questions. And
Yeah.
Yeah, very engaging.
Very engaging.
It truly was enjoyable on for me, because they're authentic, genuine minds that are asking these questions. They're not tainted by opinions.
they're
and
sweet.
They're sweet and genuine. And at the end of my second visit there, it was a year apart, I believe, some of the kids, some of the boys in the back that had previously, the year before, been in my, I call it a lecture, but it's very engaging and one-on-one with them. They started rambling around in the back and moving and passing things around, and I just thought they were boys being boys. And at the end of the class, they all came up almost individually and shook my hand and thanked me. I would give them my uniform, my shield, my
Hat, his
hat,
old hat.
articles that I would wear, uniform pieces,
Vest.
handcuffs, the vest, things like that, and just let them feel it so that they're not intimidated by it when they see it on somebody.
Sure.
And that we're all, and I would explain, we're all human. We're
Yeah.
all just, I'm just an older person that sat in a chair much like yours. And when you break it down like that, they seem to really kind of get it. You're not talking at them or down to them, but you're talking with them.
And so when they see a bumper sticker now that says "Back the Blue," they get it.
Yes.
They get it.
Most of them do, yes.
Yeah.
Most of them do.
They get it.
Because, again, they're children that are of pure minds. They haven't been tainted or jaded by the world yet, and they don't understand what it is everybody's talking about and angry. But at the end of this one particular class, that group of kids walked out, gave me a handshake, and thanked me for my service and my time, and handed me an envelope. And I thought it was going to be a thank you note for coming to the class. So I walked up to the office where Gina was with the teacher, and ultimately, in conversation with the other faculty there, I opened it up, and they had taken a collection for me
Wow.
of $6.
$6.
And they wanted,
Oh, those babies.
and
It gives me
wrote,
goosebumps. Look, I got
they wrote,
goosebumps.
thank you, Detective Nelson, for all of your service and sacrifice.
Sixth grade babies.
And they gathered up anything they could in their pockets, and I said to the
Wow.
teacher, I cannot take this.
No.
Please either return or buy them something.
Buy them a
That-
treat.
Oh, my
Buy them something
gosh.
special.
That's
And that was the
crazy.
connection we made. And I actually look forward to going back, every year now. Hopefully they'll have me back. But it's such a connection because, again, they're genuine little beings. They're not jaded. They don't have opinions of anything. And that is the best time. I can understand why teachers become engaged with their students and become almost like a third parent in some degree, because you do.
Right.
You do look
Connected.
out and connect with them, and
Yeah.
you're looking out for them. And
Yeah.
you do want, whether they're yours or not, you want them to go down the right path. You want them to hear the right things and be able to, filter out the nonsense.
Yeah.
And but genuine little kids. And occasionally we'll be out of the restaurant, we'll see the family, and they'll wave over or they'll say hello to her. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute. But it's, and I say this all the time, many of the interactions police have are always during stressful situations
Right.
or someone's worst day. And you hope to leave them with a good opinion, but you don't always.
Right.
Because as much as you want to, you have to enforce the law.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just don't agree with what it is you have to do, your objective. But in
And
these
you are
cases,
human as a detective, as a police officer, as a first responder. You are human. Humans make errors.
No doubt.
So
No doubt.
every once in a
Absolutely.
while, there is an error made
Right.
that in that split second, it seemed like the right thing to do,
It doesn't
So-
always have to be a political mindset that you were in
Right.
or a racially motivated incident. In 20 years, I've helped people of all walks, of all colors, of all races, of all languages. I've delivered babies. I've been stabbed. I've been in shootings. I've been assaulted. I've been, I've had to use physical force to lock people up. I've had to take knives off people. Everything that in a police department or in an active area you're going to have to do. You're going to have to engage the public
Right.
at some point or another. And it's not because I decided, well, that guy walking down the street there looks like he needs an attitude adjustment. It's because 911 called, and that on the other end of that 911 call is a civilian
Right.
reporting something and or calling you for assistance.
Right.
So you're not self-initiating these incidents as the press seems to imply. It is normally the response for help from a civilian that you're engaging in this process. And it's just, I think the majority of society understands it. I think politically it's just, right now we're in a political time when people are assigning blame, and the easiest one to do is the one that's first in line, and that's the police.
That's right.
You don't see them turning, and I say this not to knock the fire department. The fire department, by and large, stays in their firehouse when there are no fires.
Right.
The police don't stay inside their precincts when there's no
Right.
crime going on or they're not reporting crime to
They're
us.
always out there.
They're always out there. And when you're always out there, you're always going to be in people's view.
And you
or-
are basically a target in more ways than one.
Absolutely.
You're a target for somebody who's going to say you did something when you didn't, or you're a target to get your life taken because somebody's mad or violent or ill. I saw this morning that a female police officer with 3 children was killed over a domestic dispute that she was working on. There
Yes.
are so many. You left home every morning going to work, and your thoughts of him coming home were what?
Well, I wasn't active in that part of his
Okay.
career. We're married
the
now
end.
12 years, towards the end though.
Okay.
Definitely towards the end. And there's just always a question mark. There's
Sure.
always a question mark.
Sure.
Certain people are cut out for this job. I feel my husband was meant to do this job. He truly was. He has diplomacy. He can neutralize situations. He's my...
You're going to have to hold me back if Nancy Pelosi says one more word about
He's my-
my president. You're going
Yes.
He's my voice
to
of
have to be
reason.
my diplomat.
Employ some diplomacy here.
He's my voice of reason and logic, and can, talk to us about anybody down off the ledge, so to speak. He was meant for this job. It doesn't mean it was easy. It doesn't mean it didn't take its toll on him, his
Right.
family, on anyone. I tell people my husband served 20 years in New York City. He served a harder 20 years than most criminals do in jail
Yes, yep.
because of what he did and what he had to face and the things he physically had to do, and just the combativeness of the area. Also, when the drug wave was on the rise,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
crack unfortunately was increasing at volumes that we just couldn't keep track
And
of.
now heroin has eaten crack alive.
Right.
Yes.
It's like heroin
By the
is like,
nature of the cost
I
of it,
do
yeah.
tell people that he served a hard 20 years,
yeah, yeah.
harder than most criminals.
I think anybody that was on in the 80s, became a police officer in the 80s, saw the pendulum of society that we tend not to talk about. They said war on drugs and whatever you want to call it. It was a bad time for society. People were eating each other alive just by the nature of doing the drugs they were doing. They were drugs that made people violent, turn against their family, wives, children. Some of the things that people did to each other was just, you look back now and you go, my God, when you really absorb it, because to a certain degree, your defense mechanisms kick in, and you look at I retired from the homicide squad, so I would go out to a homicide, and everybody else is looking at a dead body on the street, and I'm looking at it as a puzzle, and I'm putting it together, and I'm looking at it as an objective. All right, this is what I've obtained so far. This is leading me in this direction. I look at the body for not in a compassionate way in that time, but in a way that is allowing me to break down the scene, break down what happened before I got there, and it does tell a story. It is a little difficult to explain, but you're looking at it from a work perspective and not so much as a human.
I have to solve this crime.
Right.
Yes.
And you have to look at how did it happen? Why
Right.
did it
And
happen?
I think what happens is defense mechanisms break down over time. And so those emotions that everybody else was feeling in that moment, you start to feel over time. You start to look back and go, God, I could not imagine that being a family member. At the time, I was just looking at blood drips,
Right.
trails. I was looking for
Patterns.
evidence, patterns, clothing, whether the pockets were pulled out, whether there's evidence of a robbery, a confrontation, whether it was a blitz attack, a planned attack, whether they were known to each other. The scene does speak, but you have to be in the mindset of an investigator to interpret it, because the emotions do get in the way. And so I think for many investigators, as they get older in life, they start to then lose those defense mechanisms because you don't have to employ them any longer when you retire. And you do start to deal with a little bit more of that wearing of the emotions coming back. So when we do get together with our brotherhood, if you want to call it that, which are people that have seen the same thing, you see it in veterans, doctors, and so on, all professions have it. And they do start to reminisce a little bit. Their stories change from the bravado to the, God, could you imagine? And so whenever I was engaged, I think most of my coworkers would say, we develop a sick sense of humor because it helps us get through things. But I always kept the compassionate side intact because you don't know who's who standing around, and I would never want to insult a family member
exactly.
or embarrass a family member. The one thing I do take pride in out of everything I've ever done was delivering a child who ultimately was named after me.
Oh, how sweet.
And secondly, as I described to my wife, I was just a regular guy from New York, grew up in a suburb, difficulty in school, difficulty with math, didn't excel. I kind of excelled a little bit in sports. But if you were to look at me back then, you would think, probably going to be a carpenter, construction worker, somebody that lifts things up, puts things down. And so to be able to know that people out there have had closure in their family or in their life because of work that I've done and brought a criminal to the through the process, to conviction due to a murder that they committed, the hugs that you receive from the family members.
Because
the
if your job
dinners.
weren't done right, there would be no conviction.
And simply one mistake, it doesn't matter what that criminal has done, but one mistake on our part can free him, and that family will have a negative outlook on law enforcement for the rest of their life, no matter what you do. And so I always took that part of the job, the integrity, very seriously. And as much as we would goof around, and as much as that was a defense mechanism in everybody, and you kind of understand that, I relish those moments where the families, I ruined more of my suits
Oh, with
by
the crying
family members crying and just losing control at the very end because you were their hero in that moment.
Yeah.
And
And what a great 20 years. I mean, to
and those
be
are the
able to
memories.
say
Yeah,
that,
those are the memories.
The night that my daughter died, my first awareness of this was a police officer who came to my door at about 3:34 a.m. And when I opened the door, you know, you're shocked.
Yeah.
A police officer's at your door. I didn't recognize him. He had known my daughter all of his life because he was best friends with my granddaughter. So after we dealt with what I had to deal with, I kept thinking about Nathan Henderson and the fact that he was the officer on scene. He was the officer who had to come to me. He was the man who had to deliver the news to me that my daughter was dead. And I kept thinking about his job, because when you walk into a crime scene or a murder scene or a suicide and you know the victim, and then you have to be the person who tells the family. That, to me, it just kept coming back to
Extremely
me.
difficult.
How did he deal with what he walked into her house and saw and then had to deliver the news to me?
Right.
You know, because he's a young cop, 30 years old, you know, and that will be with him forever.
No doubt.
It will be
No
with him
doubt.
forever.
Yes.
Well, today, you know, 9/11 is my big thing. You were there at ground zero. You were losing friends daily, weekly, who have fought a fight against cancer, against every disease you can imagine, from your lungs to because of the effects of ground zero on your bodies. The EPA said it's safe, you can go in there, you can work.
Right.
Were you told to wear a mask? Were you told to wear protection?
Initially, no. Initially,
No.
we were at the scene, and the masks showed up just because people thought it was a good idea, and everybody wanted to help. So stores like Home Depot and local department stores and hardware stores just put out boxes of those particle masks so that you could try to prevent breathing that in. But there was, I honestly believe that had the federal government, it was the EPA, I believe, from the feds, and also
I saw the day that they did the speech
Christy
that
Todd
it said
Whitman.
it was okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Had,
She said, go,
Yes.
go for it. Yeah, yeah.
I think if they had declared that it was unsafe, we would have all been there regardless, because they were members of our brotherhood, our family
Yes.
there. And you want to do the right thing. I mean,
Right.
you know, and we're not being greedy. I think that the same should have been done for the Vietnam vets. And, there should be, we were attacked. And it wasn't just, New York City, as though most people feel it was, but it was Washington, it was Pennsylvania.
Right.
And that was to be determined where they were going to hit. That plane came down because
Right.
the people fought.
Todd Beamer, thank
Right.
God for Todd Beamer. Yeah.
But our country was attacked, and it was our government that they were trying to affect. And so, the government is government of the people, and you have to take care of your people. And I don't mean put a Band-Aid on it, send them on their way. I just had cancer removed from my face this year. I consider myself very lucky. I don't complain, and I think Gina will tell you, as much as I try to stay on top of everything that comes from the World Trade Center Monitoring Unit, which is where we go for our physicals, where they do our blood work, where they look for indicators in our bloods, hematologists, and they have many, many doctors. What we consider a minor complaint or gripe may be a red flag for them.
Exactly.
So going to our family physician, he's going to give you that Band-Aid effect and whatever he requires to give you for that complaint. But they see it through a different lens and a different spectrum, and they say, you know what, many of our 9/11 responders have complained about this prior to getting pancreatic cancer. So let's do a
Right.
pancreatic
Right.
check. And so I go every year. As a matter of fact, here in the South, since I've moved, we had a location on Long Island in New York where it was directly linked to the World Trade Center. It was one of their locations. Here in the South, they give us a satellite location, and it's called LHI, and so we have to go to them, and then they transfer the information back. It's a little bit more bureaucratic, but the government has to continue this. I mean, there are promises, and some of these people genuinely, some of these politicians have genuinely given their word, but we know politicians.
Right, right.
You know, and we know that how
sometimes it's
quickly
not worth the paper it's written on.
Right. So
yeah.
we'll see. But if you have any feelings in this matter and you feel strong enough, contact your congressman, contact your senators, because they do respond to the calls,
right,
and they do respond to the influx of calls. But this is a good group of people who deserve to be treated better. Some of these people are dying without the treatment they need, or dying because they can't get the treatment they need. And it's not a matter of the money being there, it's a matter of the money being allocated.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. And it's no longer beneficial for some of these politicians to be on this side of the politics. And that's what we're facing, as we have this socialist attitude in our government right now, and it seems to be sweeping through all the halls of our government, and it's a battle. And it's a battle that when you're sick, most people understand, you don't feel like fighting.
No.
You know, you're already battling.
Your focus is elsewhere.
You know,
at the
I
moment.
think about, and this is so strange to me, but my husband, who died of cancer at a young age, and his was pretty fast, 11 months, 3 weeks. I think about the battle I fought to get him the health care he needed.
Right.
After his insurance said, no, he can't have any more of this, no, he can't do this. We went to Vanderbilt, we tried Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we tried MD Anderson. After everybody gave up, I continued to fight the fight.
Right.
Now, it was just me, just one person, just me with one man. Think about the thousands who were affected
No doubt.
at 9/11,
Right.
and the families and the turmoil and I think about just what I had to do for one man to try to get him that help. We didn't get the help because they kept saying, it's too late, it's too late. Well, by the time we went through every process we went through, the final doctors would say, I'm sorry, but it's too advanced, it's too late. And that's what's happening with y'all.
Yes.
There are people who have been bogged down by the crap of the government.
Yes.
Right.
And somebody's
The red
saying, well,
tape.
you've got to go the next step, and by the time you do, the cancer is eating your life.
And it's not just the victim, it's the victim's wife, because she has to take off
Sure.
from work so often to get the
And their
husband,
children.
or vice versa. Don't get me wrong, and their children who don't get to play the sports or get transported to the sports events because mom or dad are dealing with this illness and or going to and from doctors' offices, and it's that constant juggle. And so you have one person who can't work after retirement. Yes, we get pensions, and well-deserved, in my opinion, pensions. Anybody that goes through this should certainly have the benefit of
Receive.
that. It's a contract you initiate with the city or the municipality when you join and start working for them. You give up your time day and night. You give up your family time that you
Holidays.
can't make back with your family members. I
Special
sat, when my
moments.
mother passed away, I sat down and I started looking back, and at a family function shortly after, everybody was talking about these events and the laughter and the joking and these situations that occurred where everybody was laughing, and I had no memory. It was a void. And I sat there going, where was I? And then I realized, God, I was working overtime. I couldn't tell you what I did with that money that I made in overtime. I lost all of that family time, all of that valuable time with my family. And that's as a single person. Now imagine that being a husband or a wife losing their time, that particular time with their
You don't get
children.
it back.
You don't get that time back.
No.
And you can't make it up. You can't, so these people are suffering in many, many ways. As I said, I consider myself lucky. I've had my issues. I stay on top of it. God knows I've had a good life, and if something would happen tomorrow, I think I would maintain that view. I've been lucky.
Right.
Many of my friends are passed. She'll tell you just about every week or two, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe Jimmy's gone. I can't
Somebody
believe
else.
Johnny's gone. And I sit there and I reminisce about the last time we saw each other. And then you see their photos of recent, and you think, my God.
Blows your mind, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
Well,
it's amazing.
Can we
It's
talk
amazing.
a little bit about Lou Alvarez?
Sure.
Because to me, I saw the photo before. I see the photo at the end.
He was a healthy, strapping
Oh my
man.
gosh.
Yes.
And I'm like, this
Handsome,
can't be the
strong.
same person.
And it is.
And the time frame from what 9/11 did to his body. Now, he was the one who, if you watched the congressional circus that they created a couple of weeks ago when they didn't even listen, they didn't even show up, they
Many of
didn't
them
even
didn't
do
show.
what they should have done.
Yeah.
Were you sitting at home? I'm not a violent person, but if I had had a gun, I'd have shot my TV probably.
And that, again, that gives you the depth of the people sitting there. These are people who have the ability to take life.
Yes.
These are people who are empowered with the ability to make decisions about taking life or taking people's freedom.
Yeah.
You know, even more importantly, freedom, because you're alive and you lose it. You know, when a life is lost, it's lost. But to take someone's freedom away from them and they have to suffer through that until they can prove that and get it back, that's a major responsibility. And when you have these people sitting in front of you, I call them the truth tellers. 99% of the time, when you listen to these people, they're telling you what first liners are telling you, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're experiencing, why they're experiencing it, and it gets fed back to the generals. Well, here we are in front of the generals in this, this hypothetical, and the generals are laughing in our face. And that's what's happened. And
It
we've
made me
had to
physically
gather.
sick. It made me physically sick
Yeah.
Yeah.
to see what Congress did to them.
The disrespect.
It was
Total
ridiculous.
disrespect.
Yeah,
Total
it was
disrespect.
ridiculous.
Disrespect.
And over the years, as John Stewart said, he referred to a gentleman named Ray, his best friend. Ray was a fireman who passed away, and John and Ray became very good friends. And every meeting that they had to go to Congress for any reason, for lobbying for this bill, to get the bill initiated, there's a droga bill, Ray was there with John. And John does not have to be there. John is a very wealthy individual. He could certainly
Right.
go on into his retirement from TV and live his life, and yet he's compelled because he sees the side that we saw.
Right.
And those politicians keep themselves distanced
Yeah.
because you don't want to make decisions emotionally, and I get that whole logical part of it. But how can you not look at these people, particularly Lou? You have a before and current. And you can see, if anybody has ever dealt with a family member or any friend who suffered from cancer, you see the transition to death. And we know it's ugly, but if that is not a picture of what people are dealing with on a daily
Every day.
basis,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they went to work and nobody would call in sick, even if they were sick, you just wouldn't do it.
Even those
they
who didn't
worked.
have to be there chose to be there.
Volunteers, and it's not just
Volunteered
firemen
to
and
be
cops.
there.
It's the ambulance, it's the electricians, the plumbers, the contractors, the carpenters, the pipe fitters. Anybody and everybody who was required to be down there, the cleaners that had to clean these buildings in the aftermath,
Right.
clean the rooftops off, clean out the ventilation systems, the children that were in schools down there that were told to go back to school because the air was safe, that were breathing in this, that those who lived down in the Tribeca area, that on a day by day during the cleanup, every time you hit the broom, the dust goes up. Well, every day for months thereafter, they were down there mixing up this witch's brew of poisons. And so anybody and everybody, even when you're wearing the masks in that, a direct ground zero vicinity and or at the landfill, you take that mask off and you only have to breathe in, as they've determined, a small amount
Sure.
for it to have the long-lasting effect.
Right. And the numbers that we're seeing today are nothing compared to the numbers that will be
Right.
another generation because the mother passed it on to a child.
No doubt, no doubt.
And we're going to see that over and over and
Right.
over.
No
So
doubt.
it's a never-ending cycle. So, okay, y'all, we got to take a commercial break. When we come back, we are going to share a little bit about why I wanted y'all to get to spend some time with them today, and then I want y'all to come to my house on Saturday, and I want you to be out there in my yard, and I'm going to explain it
And
to you.
come
why in
hungry.
Just a few minutes. That's right, come hungry. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
You have never been so happy, dancing, swinging, laughing at me, smile on my face. It's happiness for days. You are everything I need. Happy ever after will be. Couldn't even dream of better. Couldn't even dream of better way.
Whether it's memories of your first trip to the local Dairy Queen or your daily visit for a $5 lunch special, the Jasper Dairy Queen has been a part of the community for over 40 years. Locally owned and operated, Jasper DQ is the place where specialty items often become favorites. Burgers, shakes, chicken tenders with yummy dip and gravy. And don't forget the wings and fries. Celebration cakes are always fresh and fast and include the awesome Blizzard cake. Stop by where folks are always meeting and eating. 515 and Highway 53. Just follow the crowd to the Dairy Queen. Fountain Roofing has been providing excellent service for 35 years. Let Lonnie assist you in choosing the roof perfect for your home and your budget. Commercial or residential, he can handle it all. Fountain Roofing continues to provide quality workmanship and will provide references upon request. At Fountain Roofing, we've got you covered. Call Lonnie at 706-692-6997. That's 706-692-6997.
Since 1962, Gilmer Towing has been serving the North Georgia area and would like to say thanks to all of our customers. For over 48 years, Gilmer Towing has carried on a family tradition with an experienced and friendly staff that offers 24-hour damage-free towing, unlocks, and four-wheel drive recovery. So when you're stuck in a ditch, tires flat, or car won't start, give us a call. Local or long hauls, big or small, Gilmer Towing will get them all. Give us a call today at 706-636-4TOW.
We've had Alpha Insurance since our first daughter.
And when we had quadruplets, we really needed Alpha.
Now we need our own insurance with great rates, fast claim service,
and the local agent we know.
And we want a company our kids and grandkids can trust. Call Alpha.
The best agents in the business. Call Ed Stepp in Blue Ridge.
Georgia Medical Treatment Center now has 2 locations to bring you the high-quality, holistic care you've come to know and expect. We treat neck, back, and joint pain with chiropractic care and injection-based treatment without the need for surgery or prescription painkillers. Our medical weight loss program can also provide relief while ridding your body of toxins, pounds, and inches while improving your overall health. Call today for a free consultation, 770-345-2000, or go online to georgiamtc.com.
With speeds up to 150 meg, ETC and Ignite delivers more shopping, more music, more learning, more streaming, more speed to power smartphones, movies, and streaming video, more speed for more devices in your home, and more room in your budget with ETC's low pricing and bundled discounts. Get the fastest internet around with Ignite's new 150 meg. More speed, more savings. Call ETC today.
I'm Lawrence Smith, University of Georgia. Today we have John Davis, former Georgia Tech All-American, Frank Ross, captain of the Bulldogs' 1980 National Championship team in a Subway showdown. Subway.
How many Subways does Ed Singleton own? He is up at number 17. He started in my hometown of LJ. Yeah, but he graduated from University of Georgia.
Hey guys, who's hungry?
It looks like Subway and Singleton Food Services Incorporated, the winner again.
Chevy runs deep in Canton at Bill Holt Chevrolet. Deeper selection, deeper discounts, and we're letting everybody know it. Not just Chevy buyers in Atlanta. Chevy buyers in Blairsville, Blue Ridge, Jasper, and LJ. If you're out there, we're right here with one huge selection at Truck HQ. Always get our lowest prices and friendliest service. Online, BillHoltGM.com.
Cause when you're talking trucks, you're talking Truck HQ.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside, knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere, so when we get home, I know it's safe.
Get peace of mind for your family with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to ETC Security and get 6 months monitoring free. Call ETC Security now or visit etcsecurity.com to learn more. Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
In today's changing world, some things should never change. Time-honored compassionate services are what families have come to know with Roper Funeral Home. Our professional and courteous staff offers traditional services, cremations, as well as advanced funeral planning, which relieves the burden from those we love.
Hello, I'm Kevin Roper. If you have any questions about the services we provide, we invite you to give us a call, stop by, or better yet, ask a family who has used our services.
The lead singer for the gospel group The Inspirations has come to visit, and we're in apple country. So we're going to have an apple recipe, and it's called
Apple Cinnabites.
Apple Cinnabites. This is not in our cookbook because it's something that I just created one day after making an apple pie. I had some little cores left over, and I just couldn't stand the thoughts of throwing that away. So I sliced them very thin, and I'm going to teach you now how to make something so simple, so good, warm, and just a good winter recipe using apples and cream cheese. The ingredients for this are loaf bread that we've crusted, cream cheese, a tiny slice of apple, a little drizzle of honey on each of those, and then we roll that in cinnamon and sugar after spraying the bread with butter. Then we just cook it for a few minutes, and boy, is it good. I promise this one is so simple. I think you can do this.
What do you mean by that?
I think you can do it. He's a great singer. I don't know what kind of cook you're going to be.
I'm a great eater.
You're a great eater. That's right. He's had dinner at my house a few times. You're a pretty good eater.
A very good eater.
Very good eater. Very good eater.
I want these apple cores you were talking about. They're not the ones you eat down to, then you slice them.
That's a good plan. No. Actually, it's what I had left from making my first apple pie. We went up to Mercier's Orchard, and I had made an apple pie, and I had all these cores, and I just can't stand to waste anything. So I think this is a good plan, and I think y'all will enjoy this one. Now, Matt, I wasn't sure about your cooking technique, but you peeled that apple and did a really good job.
Well, I was trying hard.
You did good.
I was a little worried about it myself.
You did a good job. Okay, now I have taken the crust off the bread and spread cream cheese on it. And then we drizzle a tiny little bit of honey on it. Drizzle. Just drizzle a little honey on it. And we put, really and truly, you seriously can use a leftover apple core. I did, the first pan of these I used a few leftover apple cores. We roll this up tightly, and then we mist it with spray, margarine or butter, whatever you decide you'd like to use. And then we roll it in cinnamon and sugar. And then we bake this for about 6 or 7 minutes, and it gets all warm and bubbly inside, and it is really, really good. Guys, if you listen closely, you'll hear the Inspirations in the background. I hear a little Christmas music.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite recordings of all time is the Inspirations Christmas album.
Well, it is a great time of year, and it's a great time for family and friends, and I'm so glad you came to see us today.
Did you drizzle on that?
I drizzled.
I drizzled the honey.
We got to drizzle the honey, yeah.
I'm watching.
That's right.
I'm learning.
That's right. Got to drizzle the honey, add that little bit of sweetness to that tart apple. Boy, these are going to be good.
Look like it.
I think you're going to like these. And I think Paulette would like waking up one morning and smelling these cooking when she's getting out of bed and you're in there making coffee and making apple Cinnabites. There's your pan of Cinnabites. We're going to stick it in the oven. It's going to take about 7 minutes. Then you're going to have a really good...
What temperature do you put that?
350. 350. All right, we're going to stick this in the oven now. There you go. Well, Matt, the apple Cinnabites are ready. I want to see what you think. You know how simple it was. You know how dirt cheap it was to make it. So, what do you think?
Very good.
Very good. Yeah. The kind of thing on a cool winter day. Nice snack. Nice appetizer. Nice for a family get-together. Easy to make. Something anybody can do. And everybody keep apples in your refrigerator. Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We'll see you every Thursday night on Heart of the Home. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy your family. God bless you.
Well, it's Thursday.
Brunch things. Hey guys, we're back. We've been talking about hot dogs, and I want to encourage everybody to come to Ball Ground this weekend on Saturday at about 9:30, 9:45ish. The fireworks are going to go off in Ball Ground. If you haven't been to Ball Ground with the fireworks, it is located right at Calvin Farmer Park. It is located right behind the Senior Citizen Center. Going to be a whole lot going on in downtown Ball Ground, and we want to invite you to come but we want you to come hungry because these two wonderful people are going to be doing their yellow top
hot dogs.
And you're going to have cheese and chili and onions and relish.
We have cheese and chili. We have sauerkraut. We have sweet red onions, which is a New York style of onion. It's not a fresh raw onion. It's like a stewed onion in a sweet red sauce.
Oh, wow.
Really delicious.
Wow. Now I can't wait to try that.
We do. It's sweet red onions. And we do have sweet pickled relish and your basic condiments of ketchup and yellow mustard.
There you go.
And your meal, family-friendly meal, comes with a hot dog with any topping, a bag of chips, and a drink, soda or water or lemonade.
And it's $5.
$5 a meal.
There you go. Now, you're going to be awareness to me. We all have to be aware. We all have to be helping. We all have to be giving. And there's a foundation that is trying to help these people who are struggling to get the medical care they need. Tell me a little bit about the foundation.
It's called the Feel Good Foundation. It's run by John Feel, or initiated by John Feel. And it's an organization that supports the families of 9/11 that are suffering from various illnesses, various degrees of illnesses. It's a fund that is connected with the World Trade Center monitoring unit. And so if you call up or if you go on Google or your search engine and look for the Feel Good Foundation, there is a huge amount of information that can be obtained.
Feel though.
F-E-A-L.
F-E-A-L.
Right.
Yeah.
Feel Good Foundation. There's a wealth of information there that can direct you into any direction that you need to ascertain information at.
And if they want to contribute to this foundation,
if we are going to put a collection bucket out on Saturday, if you feel compelled to donate, we would encourage it. Any money collected is going directly to the Feel Good Foundation, and they will decide what it is they need to do with it.
As well as a proceed of our sales, a percentage
right,
of
a percentage
our
of our sales is also going to be contributing or donated. But
there are people sitting in line who haven't gotten a yes from a doctor yet, who might need food on the table, who might need child care. I mean, there are people falling through the cracks.
Absolutely.
While we let Congress sit and stare at us, there are people falling through the cracks.
Feel Good also does scholarships for the children of these first responders who can no longer provide for their families and help those children get educations for their futures. So they have scholarships. They help with their medical care. They transportation, they do so much.
It's a nonprofit. It's well worth even just reading about it if you'd like to. As I said, it's a wealth of information, and it's an organization that is nothing but good. Its intents are all good. Nobody profits from it. There are stories, feel-good stories involved. You can read some of the things they've done and provided. But I encourage everyone to go and look it up. That's where the money will go. And I'm a strong believer in helping others in need. This is my personal cause because I was there and because many of my friends I've seen now go through this. When you know someone, as I said earlier, going through these type of illnesses, you don't consider, I guess because you haven't been there yourself, what it takes, the financial drain, the co-payments, the insurance company denials, and the arguments that you've had. Personally, I after getting ill at 9/11, after a month and a half, 2 months down there, I ended up in a hospital, and for the next year, I was in and out of the hospital. Extensive testing, catheters, cardiac catheters, going down into the heart, lungs, respiratory treatments, breathing apparatus. I was intubated, and all of that time, the first year after 9/11, the police department back then was so overwhelmed and confused, they weren't paying their bills. And so at the time, they weren't paying the
insurance.
Well, they weren't paying the hospital bills. They were actually being directed toward me. And so at the time, Elliot Spitzer was the governor in New York, and the hospital that I was taken to was a state-run hospital, Stony Brook University. And so they actually sued me for the medical bills. I was working with the police department to get these bills paid, and the agreement I had with the attorney representing Elliot Spitzer's office was that as long as I continued to try and put a fire under those desks at the police department, she would continue to delay the process so that I wouldn't be personally accountable for it.
Wow.
Well, she did not tell me of a court date they held, and because I failed to appear, I wasn't notified that I had to, and I wasn't told of the court date, but because of my failure to appear, the judge ruled against me, and so I was given a judgment against me of over $18,000.
He was served
And they
papers.
actually put a lock on my
A lien
against my house, against my future taxes, against all. I could not go to the ATM and take $10 out. And so I called up my person.
That's our system. Our system is broken. Our system is screwed up. Our system is, it's basically been destroyed by people sitting in Congress and in other political offices who aren't doing their dadgum job.
No.
They're not doing their job.
It was an embarrassment. I happened to be at a barbecue the first time I had a gathering since 9/11, and I had been home not having to be in and out of the hospital. The family decided to have a family barbecue at the house, and some neighbors came over that were inquiring how I was, and a sheriff showed up and actually handed me this finding of the court.
How embarrassing.
It was. And he says,
That's
well, Paul, I'm
crazy.
sorry to do this to you, but I have to serve you with this.
Yeah.
And I opened it up, and it said that I was being sued, and that it was found that I was liable.
That's crazy.
I called up GHI, and I actually told the state, I said, I've had personal insurance through my job, so if you're not getting it from the police department, how come you haven't submitted
Bill
it to
the
them?
insurance company.
And they told me they had, and they were getting denials.
Wow.
So I got my little GHI card out, I looked at the 800 number, I called them, only to find out they had never submitted one bill from the state.
Wow.
That what they were telling me was untruths. And I was furious. And
So
I
did
got
it
them.
resolve?
What happened was GHI actually stepped up. I got a supervisor there whose father was a retired captain from the
But
police
again,
department.
you're doing their homework.
Yes.
Exactly what I'm doing, their
He
legwork.
spent days on the phone.
Well, this supervisor's father went back in retirement and helped at the pile and also got sick. And she said, Paul, I understand your frustration. Have them send me the bill and I will authorize it for payment. So in 1 hour, I got that $18,000 paid that the state could not get paid and was coming after me.
Our system is broken.
Yeah, I had to have a judge vacate the order the next day so I could
Well,
get
we're short on time, and I want to end with, guys, just a little of the footage of 9/11 in just a couple of minutes. But I want to ask you personally, okay, Puerto Rican descent.
Yes.
Okay, don't slap me. Does AOC make you so mad you could scream?
AOC?
AOC, the congresswoman who is sitting up there saying that we need to do this for the terrorists, we need to do this. Does it make you mad because you are an immigrant but generational? Does it drive you crazy?
It does.
To be from New York and see that much stupidity coming out of your state?
It does.
It would drive me nuts.
Growing up, we were always told we were American first. We were of Spanish descent second. My grandfather was very proud to be here in the United States.
Legally here.
Legally here in the United States. He was very proud, and I remember being a little girl being in their house, and he would argue with my grandmother, you have to speak English, and she would speak Spanish back to him because she was still committed to her country. It took her a while, a very long time to come around. But yeah.
America first.
America first.
America
it
first.
has to be America first. And they came here. He came here for that reason.
Yes.
But legally, like you said.
Yes.
And
when I watch what is happening, this little bimbo bartender is going to get a pension of over $100,000 a year. You're a NYPD retired cop. Are you getting over $100,000 a year?
No.
Oh, no. It makes me so mad, y'all.
No.
I'm going to end up in trouble.
No.
Because if I ever go to Washington and she's there, I'll probably be the first person to smack her.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not right. You and your fellow officers, you need the support.
Yes.
That bimbo doesn't need it. She doesn't deserve it. She hasn't earned it.
Right. Part of the reason we did relocate from New York was so that we could afford to live. And we came here so that we can make the most out of his pension and get it to stretch even further to live comfortably.
Right.
We're not living large. We're still working.
We moved from New York, but we were on Long Island. And Long Island consists of Queens, which is one of the boroughs of New York City.
Right.
It's actually a peninsula. And then there's Nassau County, Suffolk County, and then you have what everybody knows as Montauk. You have Riverhead, the East End, and it's divided up into villages. So we were just reading the other day that Nassau County and Suffolk County,
Where we were from.
the two middle counties of Long Island, are the two most expensive places to live in the country right now.
Yeah.
And when you consider the amount of taxes, not just property taxes, but taxes taken out of your check or anything you earn, I was paying city taxes without any representation in New York City. They don't call it a tax. They call it, what was it, the term?
Commuter fee.
A fee, yeah.
A commuter fee.
So I can't vote in New York City, but they tax me because I earn my money there.
Because that's
but I
where
also
he would
pay
go to
Suffolk
work.
tax,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so it's silly. So when we come here,
It ain't right.
No.
It ain't right.
no, it's not. It's not. And the politics there, they just Governor Cuomo just passed a law allowing immigrants to have licenses.
Yeah, if you
which is
say his name, I get.
the next step in that plan is to allow them to
bad.
vote so that they have ID.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
And
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to sub.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
we're
y'all
happy to
have got to
be
come
here.
back again before you go back to school. Congratulations
thank
on your
you.
award.
Thank you.
She is amazing. I will just say she's amazing. As Riker's aunt and as Riker's uncle, you know that we just happen to be a little Southern and a little Yankee, and we got a family going on
That's
here.
it, and it's a
been
perfect mix,
amazing.
perfect
It's been
balance.
amazing. I can make peach cobbler, and they can make great hot dogs. There you go. There you go.
Marriage made in heaven.
That's right. Now we're going to end with a little bit, just a little of the footage that I showed y'all yesterday of 9/11. Please don't forget. Please come out this weekend and help Paul and Gina as they continue to live the dream here in Georgia after giving it all in New York City. When we think about all the friends, all the people who are fighting every single day to get what they deserve. To get what they deserve. We want you to be a part of that, so come out and join us. Again, in our yard, right there at the Senior Citizen Center. It will be a great day. Bring your chairs, hang out, and watch the fireworks with us. We'll see you again soon.
Bring your appetite.
Only on ETC. Okay, guys.
It looked like it was moving slowly. It lined itself up to hit the building directly.
Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Out in the yard, your wife and children working on some stage in L.A. Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky? Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry? Did you weep for the children? Just a moment, we got an explosion inside. Did you rejoice for the people who walked from the rubble and sobbed for the ones left below? Did you burst out in pride for the red, white, and blue, the heroes who died just doing what they did? Did you look up to heaven for some kind of answer and look at yourself and what really matters? I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a
one of those almost looks like one of those planned implosions.
but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I've talked to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Teaching a class full of innocent children, driving down some cold interstate. Did you feel guilty because you're a survivor? In a crowded room, did you feel alone? Did you call up your mother and tell her you love her? Did you dust off that Bible at home? Did you open your eyes and hope it never happened? Close your eyes and not go to sleep. Did Did you notice the sunset the first time in ages? Speak to some stranger on the street.